Hey, it's Soul, bringing you news, ideas, analyses, and more failed attempts at humor. My demo Warlock just hit 110 the other day, and I'm going to share some information and some initial analyses on the flow of non-raid content. Remember that this is alpha, and what you're going to see is probably going to change as fast as the next build. But let's try to get through this really quick. Here was my leveling experience. Starting with my quest achievement window, as you can see, High Mountain is done. Azuna is done. I did a decent chunk in Val'sharah, and while it's not visible, I did a little bit in Stormheim before I hit 110. I learned this much in engineering, which is to say I did like 5 quests and haven't done much since. I did a lot more mining though, and noticed that skills at Laystone are maxed out due to the quests that I did, but Fellslate quests either aren't in yet or there's a different way to fire them off. At any rate, I really need more Fellslate. I haven't made too much progress in the Order Hall campaign. I'm bottlenecked by a quest to go into a dungeon to kill the first boss, as well as a quest that requires me to complete 5 missions from the Order Hall mission table. My guess now is that the Order Hall campaign is a take your sweet ass time sort of experience. I pointed out that unlocking the 3rd relic slot for your artifact will take a month at minimum, so keep that in mind. And speaking of the Order Hall table, here it is. Notice those 2 missions at the top. One gives us a thing called Nightmare Essence, which I can't say exactly what it does yet. The mission costs 1,000 resources. It's kind of a lot, but it's not really. I'll show you why later. The other mission gives you a breadcrumb reward that starts a dungeon quest. A few things to point out though. One is that it's not a rare quest. It's not going to expire. The other is the resource cost, which is 0. But then there's the mission time, which I'll kind of rant about, but hopefully it'll help you guys form your own opinion. It's kinda long. Where should it fit in the whole flow of things? The mission time you see I think should be 12 hours, but I have an Order Hall talent that shortens mission completion time. In a realistic scenario, I'd log on each day and drop by my Order Hall to refresh missions and probably pick up a buff from my champion, which lasts for 6 hours. While there, I'll see this mission and I'll start it, but then I'll pop open my map and I'll hit up some world quests or do dungeon runs or count money. But it's just weird that the mission time is what it is. I'm basically going to do that dungeon quest the next day. It's okay, but it's not okay. The wait time isn't very cool. What is cool is that it's a breadcrumb, which I presume doesn't expire. I can do this whenever I want, or maybe stockpile these until I'm ready to do them with my group. But in the long game, it'll be nice to just have some extra quests to set on in case I don't have the time to do them, but still have enough time to acquire them because, tables, 0 gameplay, fast engagement. And now the newest feature, World Quests. I've done some, so the map might look slightly less populated, but take a look at each zone. There's about 30 or 40 quests available total that cover all sorts of gameplay types. When I first saw them, I was pretty overwhelmed. You can do as many of them as you want, and they repopulate organically, so just go there and start getting to work. Also notice the Emissary quest, it's right down there. It's kinda like Diablo 3, kind of not. Complete 4 quests related to the faction and you get a reward, and it doesn't matter what zone it's on, but they're typically close together. I'll go over the quest types, but something super important to note, because there's only so much that I've done regarding quests, dungeons, and professions, there could be quests and rewards that aren't visible to me. So this is from the perspective of a player who just hit max level. There are basic kill quests, and they come in 2 forms. Kill specific things or fill up a bar. Personally, I like the variety of having both. Killing specific things has a bit more narrative and meaning to it, but filling up the bar is mechanically more efficient if other players are farming the same world quest as I am. There's a special subset of these kill quests that reward PvP gear. When you enter these quest areas, you're flagged and notified that you're in free-for-all PvP, so have a good time. There's another subset that are flagged as elite or group quests, and they are definitely group quests. At our current gear level, there's little hope of soloing these things. Bring friends. Bring a lot of friends. I also noticed a quest to hop into a specific dungeon and complete it, which is neat too. There are profession quests. For me, it's basically mine things and you get more resources as a reward, which is neat. I'm not sure if there are quests related to crafting professions, but again, I've hardly progressed much into my engineering quests, so if they are in there, that'd be the reason why I don't see them yet. But check this out, it's a gathering quest for a profession that I don't have. Obviously I can't do it, but there was a mining quest I want to point out that I did off screen to get a bunch of ore from a bunch of basilisks. Not only did I have to kill them, but I had to mine them too. That's interesting to point out. From the looks of things, the profession design really wants materials to be gathered by gatherers. At the moment, I have yet to see a way to generate resources from a non-gatherer. There are other profession videos out there that go in depth, but I'd like to point out that to make these engineering items, I need cloth, ore, or one of the leather types, which is pretty neat. And finally, there are pet battle quests that reward pet battle things. That explains enough. So what sorts of rewards are there? One is the mysterious placeholder reward for completing the emissary quest. They stick around for a few days and multiple ones can pop up. They also have an indicator of how long they'll hang out, so you can schedule yourself accordingly. There's gold. It's boring, and according to some forums, everyone has millions of gold. But there's gotta be some filler quests for the emissary objectives, so there's no real getting away from that. There's rare level gear. It's pretty awesome when you first hit 110, but because it's gear, there's a limited usefulness to it. Thankfully, there aren't a whole lot of these to take up room. There's this traveler's backpack, which will buff a champion in a way that table missions will reward something tangible, and then it's destroyed. Of course, to get this, you have to go out and do the quest, so I think this is a pretty sensible trade-off. There's order hall resources. There's quite a few of these on the map, which is good for the sake of farming the amount that we need for order hall talents. Like gear though, order hall resources have a limit on their usefulness, depending on if there will be other systems that use it. There's artifact power, or what I'll call AP. AP is pretty hard to come by, because at 110, this is as far as I've gotten with my artifact. That's it. I might speak to this more in a future video, but in a nutshell, maxing out your artifact feels like it'll take pretty long for the average player. Note that you can apply AP to your artifacts freely, so you can farm with your fastest spec. As a quick note, daily dungeon rewards also give AP, so you'll definitely do those for a while. However, like everything else, there's only so much AP that you'll ever need, even if it is a lot. I'm hoping that some other sort of dungeon reward will make itself available on top of AP, otherwise the usefulness of the daily dungeon reward is limited to the player's need for it. Throw some of that Obliterum stuff in there maybe. I'm not super familiar with the Obliterum Forge, so I can't say any more to that. My take on the world quest system so far is that it's pretty damn amazing. It gives us tons of stuff to do and the freedom to do what we want, as well as the visibility to forecast and plan out our day, unless those quests expire, so keep an eye out. It takes us to lots of locations that we don't ever go to in the leveling experience, which feels really refreshing. At the moment, unless you are in a group, it can be pretty dangerous since everything is at our level, and your best bet is to do this in a group for sure. As a final note, Suramar isn't available for testing yet, but according to the achievement, it's a straight up max level quest area, and another location for world quests. I'm pretty excited. I really like the delivery of the world quest system and how everything ties in together pretty well. There's a ton of stuff to do, and now that you're at the end of this video, you probably forgot about the mission table. Until now. In the face of all these other systems, the table doesn't feel as prominent, even though it still looks like it'll offer things to do, and that's a really good thing. So those are my thoughts on the immediate endgame. I'm pretty sure I missed something, so feel free to throw in a question into the comment box below and I'll try to check it out. Thanks again for coming. Like, sub, and comment, and I'll eventually get to my idea of world scaling old content. Eventually. I'm sold. Stay breezy, guys.